Well, hello. My name is Doreen, and I'm a speech language pathologist in Spokane, Washington at Eastern Washington University. And I've been treating patients with Parkinson's for many years. And today I'm going to talk to you about how someone with Parkinson's disease can improve their speech and swallowing. So first off, I want to thank Northwest Parkinson's Foundation for this opportunity to present at the Online Hope Conference today. So typically when people think about people who have Parkinson's, what may come to their mind is someone walking with small steps, maybe not swinging their arms, someone who has tremors, maybe their writing gets small. But what I'm really concerned about, and what people may or may not notice, is that the speech and the swallowing of the person with Parkinson's may also be impacted by those slower movements. And this can be interpreted by having a very soft voice, so maybe you can't hear that person well enough. And this is because they don't have the breast support for the entire sentence they're trying to say. And then in terms of swallowing, you may notice that they're having trouble coughing when they're eating or drinking. They might be clearing their throat more. And that you might notice that there's more drooling and maybe even a loss of drooling forward out of their mouth. So if you have someone, or maybe it's you who has Parkinson's, you might want to ask these questions when you're thinking about how speech and swallowing is impacted when you have Parkinson's. So the first thing is, do people ask you to repeat? So when you're in a social situation, or maybe your spouse or partner is saying, huh, or what, or I can't hear you, that might be the first indication that your voice is becoming too soft. Is your voice hoarse, kind of scratchy, or does it sound a little breathy? Does it sound like maybe you were yelling at the football game over the weekend? Does any of your family members say you speak too softly? Have you ever thought that maybe the person you're communicating with, your spouse, your partner, your children, your employers, your colleagues at work, have a hearing loss because they keep asking you to repeat themselves? Are you clearing your throat often? You may notice that on some days your voice is strong and weak on others. But also throughout the day, you may notice that your voice is strong. And then as you get more fatigued and the day goes on, you don't have a strong voice. Are you coughing when you eat or drink? And are you avoiding social situations because people can't hear you? So if you answered yes to any of these questions, it's really important that you start thinking about taking some steps and getting speech therapy so that we can help preserve and maintain your voice, and also to prevent swallowing difficulties in the future. So we do know that speech and swallowing are very automatic behaviors, just like walking, just like swinging your arms when you walk. And with less dopamine, the automatic movements are disrupted. And guess what? Speech and swallowing are highly automatic behaviors. So it makes sense that when you're diagnosed with Parkinson's, and as time goes on, that you're going to have some difficulty with speech and swallowing. We do know that 90% of the people who have Parkinson's are likely to develop speech and subsequent swallowing disorders. That's 9 out of 10 people. So this is something that we really want to jump in and treat early. The first things you may notice in terms of having a speech disorder is that you're talking very softly. However, most patients with Parkinson's don't think they're talking softly until we actually record them or show them on a sound level meter. But I bet your friends and family might say you are talking more softly than you used to. Secondly, you may be talking with more of a monotone voice. So in our speech, we just naturally have some ups and we have some downs and we have some inflection and some intonation. And when we ask a question, our pitch goes up a little bit at the end of a sentence. And when it's just a sentence with a period at the end, it comes down a little bit. Well, with Parkinson's, you tend to lose that vocal range. And so it sounds like you're talking in a very monotone voice. You may notice that your voice is sounding hoarse, kind of grovelly, and that may change throughout the day, maybe worse at night, maybe worse when you're tired, better in the morning. You could be clearing your throat more frequently, so you might want to even ask somebody that you're around a lot if you're doing that. And another typical sign that you would see is that your voice is trailing off at the end of sentences. So as you speak and the sentence gets a little bit longer, you may not have enough breath to get to the end of the sentence. So while you may start off with pretty good volume at the beginning of a sentence, as you get to the end of the sentence, you run out of air and it goes down because you don't have enough air to finish the sentence. So no, don't adjust your volume. That is just that I was running out of air towards the end of the sentence. And we know that a weak voice can indicate swallowing problems. So the musculature of speech is the same as for swallowing. And so we can predict that as you're having some speech problems because of the Parkinson's, you may have some swallowing problems. And these can be very life-threatening problems. So we really want to be proactive and work on those before you get in that situation. So what about swallowing? Aspiration pneumonia is reported as the most common cause of death in PD and is estimated to account for as much as 70% of the mortality rate. So you can see now with this high statistic that it's really important that you get into speech therapy and we're working on the speech muscles and functioning and coordination, which in turn can help preserve that swallowing. The early signs of a swallowing disorder may be that you feel like you're drooling, maybe not having the ability to manage your saliva like you used to. This could be noticed when you're sleeping, but also during the day, because we know that swallowing is an automatic behavior and you may just not be swallowing that saliva enough. If you're coughing during or soon after you're eating or drinking, this could also indicate that you're starting to have some swallowing difficulties. A wet or gurgle vocal quality when eating or drinking also can indicate a swallowing problem. If you have the sensation that pills are getting stuck in your throat, and you probably can point to where you feel them sticking, again, another sign of a swallowing disorder. And then any unexplained weight loss or maybe even a little dehydration. But there is some good news for people with Parkinson's and their speech and swallowing. We know that there are many benefits of therapy, and we focus speech therapy to regain and retain your speech and communication and minimize future swallowing complications. So when you come to see us and maybe your voice is a little bit low, the first thing we want to do is to get it back up to a normal level. And then we want to hold on to that level for as long as we can through your life. And you can do that with daily homework exercises. And then in turn, we can help minimize any future swallowing complications that you might encounter. So the premise of what we do in speech therapy is teaching you how to convert speech from an automatic act to an intentional act. We know that speech and swallowing is very automatic, but as the dopamine goes away, it is not automatic anymore. So you don't you don't automatically take the adequate breath you need for the sentence that you want to say. Your volume is lower. It may be grovelly. So we need to take that automatic function and use a different pathway to make it more intentional. And this is what we're using here at Eastern Washington University in our speech therapy program. We're using the program founded in Dallas, Texas by the Parkinson's Voice Project, and the program is called Speak Out. Dallas, Texas has started this Parkinson's Voice Project as a nonprofit organization, and it's dedicated to preserving the voices of those with Parkinson's. And if you're interested in information regarding them specifically, you can check out the website here. Parkinson is one of the few neurological disorders that responds well to therapy. You do the therapy, you keep up your exercise, we know we can help maintain your speech. But because Parkinson's is a progressive disorder, you have to make a commitment that you're going to do these exercises for the rest of your life, and hopefully daily. We do know that the more you do the exercises and you practice this daily, the better your voice stays and you maintain that decibel level that you need for other people to understand you and communicate. And we want you to keep being active in your world. So we want you to communicate. And if you don't have a voice that's heard, you may stay home and socially isolate, and we do not want to do that. So that's why we encourage you to do the therapy and commit to doing the exercises daily. The Speak Out program that we utilize is individual and group sessions, and the group sessions is a great way for you to help maintain and practice your therapy techniques. The goal of the therapy is to strengthen the muscles used for speaking and swallowing, and we primarily use the term speak with intent. And we want you to be thinking about intentional voice, throwing that voice across the football field, throwing it to the back of the audience when you're on the stage and you need the back row to hear you. So speak with intent is really what our main goal is of therapy. So the question many people ask is, when should you start therapy? Well, the answer is now. And it's the same as any other exercise. When you're working your biceps or you're working your quads, you need to use it or you'll lose it. So if you've been diagnosed with Parkinson's and you're starting to show just even the mildest symptoms of your speech quality decreasing, now's the time to get to a qualified speech language pathologist in the area of treating patients with Parkinson's to begin working on that speech, because it's a lot easier to work with you when you've just lost a little bit of that volume and bring it up a little bit than if it's more severe. Now, we can do it if it's more severe, but it's best to do it right now. Even if you're just suspecting that you're having a problem, go to a qualified speech language pathologist and get it checked. Can't hurt. So I wanted to talk today and walk you through what actually a speech therapy session looks like when you're following the Speak Out program. What we're trying to do is work on coordination of your breathing, your voice, which would be your vocal cords or your vocal folds, as we call it, and bringing in the articulators, so your tongue, your mouth, your palate, and coordinating all of those so you have better speech output. We also want to work on that monotone voice because we want to keep you interesting and maybe still singing in the choir. So what we're going to do as well works on that pitch range so you don't have a monotone voice. Right now, we're seeing that patients who have 9 to 12 therapy sessions and are doing their daily homework are showing great outcomes and then can just work on maintaining those skills throughout the rest of their life. This does require daily homework, and this may require a tune-up because, as you know, as Parkinson's progresses, you may have another downslide in your speech skills, and we would do a little tune-up to bring you back up to your best decibel level, and then off you go to do your daily homework again. Okay, I'm going to take a drink of water, and if you have some and you're going to do these along with me, you might want to do that too. It's important to hydrate your voice, especially when you're doing your speech therapy exercises. So the first thing we do in our therapy sessions is what we call the warm-ups. And this is just to warm up the voice and start coordinating the breathing with your voice. And this is as simple as these sounds here. And I'm going to do it first, and then let's do one together. I'm going to open my mouth and I'm going to project my voice up and over to the other end of the football field. So you're going to use your CEO voice, your coaching voice, and you're going to do this with intent, like this. May, me, my, moo. Let's do this one together, just like that. May, me, my, moo. Great. And in therapy, we typically do that about 10 times. Next, we do an exercise with awe. And this exercise is done, so again, you're increasing your awareness of breath support that you need for speech. So do you know that we automatically take the appropriate breath that we need to say the sentence we want to say? So if I just want to say a short sentence like, I'm hungry, I automatically take the right breath. But if my sentence is going to be a longer sentence, like I'm going to the store and after the store, I'm going to stop and get gas and wash my car, I again automatically take the right breath to support that sentence. However, because it's an automatic function, as you lose your dopamine, that does not happen so easily, and we have to make it more intentful. The ahs help move the larynx up, and also this applies to swallowing because the larynx needs to move when we're swallowing. It stretches the vocal folds, and again, it targets the muscles responsible for intonation of speech. We're going to start first with just an ah, and you're going to hold it as long as you can, up to 10 seconds, but you want to make sure you have good quality. So if you start to hear a little groveliness like this, ah, you want to stop. Listen to me do it once, and then we'll do it together. Ah. Take a little drink of water if you need it. It's allergy season as well. Here we go. Let's do it together. Just hold the ah. Ah. Good. That's the next exercise that we do in our speech therapy program. The next one we do is we take that ah and go up and down the pitch scale. This is the least favorite of all of our patients, but maybe one of the most beneficial exercises we do. And it's very important because this helps maintain that pitch change that you need to make so you're not monotone and you make your speech more interesting. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, we're going to start with our ah and go up the scale and then come down the scale. Mouth is going to stay open, and when you come back down, don't bring your chin down, okay? Stay looking at the screen. I'll do one for you. Ah. Let's do one together. Ah. You don't have to be a singer to do this either. The next thing we do in speech therapy is counting exercise. And this is just a simple way for you to coordinate breathing with your vocal folds or vocal cords or your voice box, as you might think of it, with your articulators. And remember, your articulators are the tongue, the lips, the soft palate, the hard palate, the teeth. I'll model this and then we can do it together. One thing you want to remember is you want to keep your voice turned on even between the numbers. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Again, you want to project that voice, move that voice forward in your mouth, across the football field, up and over your computer screen. Take a drink if you need to. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Project it over. 5, 6, 7, 8. With intent. 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, 15, 16. Could they hear you in the other room of your house? Another exercise that we do during our treatment session is reading, and this is another way to coordinate breathing with your voice and articulation. So we're starting to make the task we're doing a little bit more difficult, but you still have to be remembering to speak with intent. So I will read the first one, give you an example of how we do it, and then we can do it together. Again, with intent. We want to bring up the speaking volume. We want to project like you're a coach or a CEO. Here we go. Answer the telephone. Do it with me. Answer the telephone. Let's do this next one together. With intent. Lock the door, please. One more time. Lock the door, please. You can turn to your caregiver or loved one for this one. I love you. Do that with me one more time with a little bit more inflection. I love you. Great. Let's do this one together. I am hungry. I am hungry. Are you still throwing that up and over? I want you to try and say this one with a little enthusiasm. Let's go out to dinner. With me again. Let's go out to dinner. Great. Here's another one with some enthusiasm, with intent. Let's have a party. Again, let's have a party. Okay. There's other exercises that we do in therapy to make you practice using the strategies that you're learning in therapy with other communication situations so that it becomes more automatic as it can become when you're talking to others. Maybe you're giving a speech, maybe you're in a social group, playing bridge. So we want to make using these techniques more automatic as they can be. But we do know that you're going to have to do the exercises daily and really for the rest of your life. And the research is showing that you're able to maintain these good speech characteristics with a good volume, and you're able to be understood. And then hopefully you will stay engaged in your community, in your family, for as long as you can. So I think one of the things you need to think about is adding this as a routine in your daily schedule so that you get these done. Certainly you want to find a qualified clinician who's experienced in working with patients with Parkinson's, and you can do that by going to the website parkinsonsvoiceproject.org, and there's a list of providers. And in addition to that, there's online speech therapy exercises on the Parkinson's Voice Project webpage. Just like I did with you today, you can follow along for your homework. They're either on their Facebook page or on their website. They do a new 30-minute session Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Central Time. There's group sessions and individual sessions that you'll want to attend. And the other thing you could do is sing. And there's singing groups out there through the Northwest Parkinson's Foundation. We have singing groups. The Parkinson's Voice Project has a singing group you can sing online. And in the Spokane area, we're looking at getting our singing group, the Trumbull Clefs, back at it in the fall. The reason that we really like you to be involved in singing, and even if you just sing in the shower, is you're changing your pitch. Your pitch is going up and down. That's what singing does. It encourages those pitch changes. It also helps with breath. And so it's a great thing to do to maintain good pitch changes and decrease that monotone pitch that people with Parkinson's tend to have. Okay. Well, we had some exciting news at Eastern Washington University on Parkinson's Awareness Day. Eastern Washington University Department of Communication Sciences and Disorders was awarded a grant from the Parkinson's Voice Project to provide speech therapy and conduct research. And the speech therapy is going to be at no charge. We can do this in person and telehealth. So we can do this around the region, around the state. We can treat you over the computer with telehealth. And one of the reasons we're really excited about being able to do telehealth is so that it improves access for patients. Many of us live in rural areas and it's difficult to get to a clinic to receive services. So you can do this from your home. Some people are homebound, or maybe by the time you get up, get dressed, get everything going and get a ride to therapy or drive to therapy, you're really fatigued. So this will help as well. Transportation issues might be a problem. And as we know, in the Pacific Northwest, we are always dealing with weather. So maybe you do want to go to in-person some, and then there's a snowstorm one day, we can tune in versus telehealth. So we're really excited to be selected as one of the 16 universities across the country to be a speech therapy research center. This is my mom, who had Parkinson's and actually did not have the resources that we have in our area. And one of the reasons that I keep so active in this organization and with patients with Parkinson's, so that people know there's services out there, and if they get those services, they'll have a healthier life for a longer time. Here's the information for the Speak Out exercises through the Parkinson's Voice Project. Again, it's the Parkinson's Voice Project.org. And again, they do these daily exercises Monday through Friday, and they're recorded. So you can go and do them anytime you want. And you can go back, if you liked one, you can go back and do it again. Here is our contact information at EWU Speech and Language Clinic. You can call 1-509-828-1323 for services. And my email is dnicholas@ewu.edu if you have any questions about speech therapy. Thank you so much for letting me present today on speech therapy. And I encourage you to seek out a speech language pathologist early on